folks who don't know, the Free State Project is a movement of voluntary human action where we are trying to concentrate libertarians in the state of New Hampshire.
Free State Project, again, it's 1% of the Free State movement.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, libertarians, anarchists, movers, natives, and those on your way, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Free State Live, where you can hear all of the different ways you can live free and thrive in the free state of New Hampshire. But first and foremost, we got the whole gang back together tonight, so let's get everyone in the room. First up, we got Manchester's favorite funny man, Tall Bill. How are you, Bill?
I'm great, man. That bear clip makes my day. Just looking at all the elected bears.
Such a horrible attack in Grafton.
Yep. No, they got elected. The Bears got elected.
Yeah. I mean, I would vote for that bear over some of the politicians we do have in local office, but that bear at least seems to care, and we don't have to give it a pension.
So look up Grafton Bear incident for more.
Yeah. And also we have everyone's favorite perennial candidate for state senate, future president of New Hampshire, Queen Quill herself, Carla Garrick. How are you, Carla?
Hi, I too like the bear clip. That
Bear's running for president now, so
yes. Oh, now there's competition. Now we've got a porcupine and a bear in the race. It's the start of a great joke here.
Yeah, I see all these new third parties popping up in New Hampshire this year, like the Constitution Party, the Democratic Socialists. They're all forming new parties, and I can't wait for one of them to just accidentally pick the bear. Without knowing what they're going to get into, and then Xandra's going to have to do a whole presentation about how they're awful.
Oh.
And we also have everyone's favorite family man and keyboard warrior extraordinaire, Kevin from the internet.
How's it going? I'm back. I was also laughing at the bear meme. I am now the head of the New Hampshire Bear Caucus, which is just formed in my head. So we're going to be restoring cones and asking about who will pay for the roads throughout the state. So
and the right to bear arms, to bear arms.
Something about we can bear arms. So.
I think it's pretty clear the Bears will pay for the roads.
Oh, things are going to go from bad to worse here tonight. So for folks who don't know, this is us practicing for our reacts here. We have not practiced this round, so we'll see how this goes.
I think it's better with no practice on something like this.
And for those of you tuning in, if any of you haven't seen this documentary yet or haven't seen the NBC documentary, you can find it just by Googling Life, Liberty, and Pursuit of New Hampshire, or checking out NBC's website or on the Peacock app online. But we wanted to take a look and give you a little bit of reaction from, the free state perspective, and maybe have throughout the course of the next few weeks, have some people who are featured in the documentary come on to maybe give some more of their side of things that might have not been shown or not covered thoroughly, or just dive deeper. But tonight we got that introduction, and we want to get this started, but tune in. And you guys, like I said, we never practice. We always fly from the seat of our pants, but let's go.
I will start and say this episode is called The Manifesto, which seems like a super loaded term, but we attended, some of us went to that NBC discussion they had over at St. Anselm. So it's just pretty interesting. It was the filmmakers as well as the producer, and she spent some time, explaining why they had decided to do this. And then one of the questions when they were doing Q&A from the audience, the question was, why did you call it the manifesto? You hate us, down with corporate media, and she actually said, she thinks it's a term that Jason himself either used in some part of the interviews or not. Another thing that I thought was really interesting that they said at this panel discussion that seems obvious to everyone else, but I didn't put it together this way, is that they made the editing choice to let all the characters, as they called them, speak for themselves. So it is not narrated by a talking head. It is actually everyone on film, it's their own words, in their own words. And I thought that was actually something to make note of, because I do think, I'm curious to see what everyone else is going to think. But, I thought that was kind of cool.
It's a much more difficult way to tell a story, too, to not have any kind of transition.
I'm sure to not narrate it in any way. I turned them down for interviews when I had first met them or had seen them around, because my immediate reaction was, I'm sure like a lot of other people, which is like, you're probably making a hit piece, or like, I was dressed in a ridiculous outfit that's covered in like Hawaiian flowers and a big AR-15, and I understand why you might want to interview me. And in my head, it was, you probably want to make fun of me. There's this easy way to frame this story with narration, or not allowing me to explain myself or what any of this is or who we are. And that's why I had said no initially. But then again, after talking to Lou and Carla, Bill, just all of everybody around, and saying like, I think they might be here to give us a fair shot. I sat down and finally was like, I'll talk to you guys. All right, what are you doing? What are you?
No, my first reaction was like, hey, we're from NBC, feds, and ran away.
Interaction. My second interaction was Pork Fest. Like, I'm all set.
So anyway, they ended up hanging out with us for what, like 9 months, in and out for events. And what are the rules here when we go through this, so the audience knows what's going on?
Just speak up. If you guys want to comment, we can pause as we go, talk over if this is a lull. Everybody in chat, if you have a question, you have a comment, just fucking drop in the chat. We can bring it up and we can talk about it. And this is that reminder, chime in, because this is a watch party, and a party means not just us, but it means you too. So let's get
there's a watch party of this watch
feel
party.
Like you're overdoing it.
Yeah. We'll fly by the seat of our pants. We got a disclaimer and everything.
Yeah, I was so impressed.
There's masks on it. Don't tread on me! Don't tread on me! Don't tread on me! Don't tread on me!
I tell them we are the party of anti-government. They say, that's awesome. Holy cow, I didn't even know you guys existed. Where have you been all my life?
The Free State Project is simply about getting people who believe in freedom and limited government to move to New Hampshire.
We are the live free or die state.
We all agree on the one important thing, which is non-aggression principle. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff.
Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff.
We believe in economic freedom, personal freedom. We want government to be as local as possible.
I just want lower taxes, smaller government, more individual freedom.
If you're a libertarian and you're the live and let live
That's
crowd,
my fridge.
come to New Hampshire.
It's really tough to hate us once you meet us.
I was moving for a libertarian political migration to join like a little crazy freedom utopia.
I spent 40 years feeling very isolated. And now I have thousands and thousands of people.
This is real. A real community. This is a real project. This is really happening.
We want to be here to live our best life. Who can argue with that?
Oh, they can argue.
Yeah. I was literally about to say, they'll argue.
So I have to say, even just giving us the first words, it's kind of nice of them. They could have been like Xander, like the Free State Project. They're here because they hate New Hampshire and they want to ruin live free or die for you and your family, or whatever she says.
There is a way to frame it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and definitely they've said over time that they really did feel like the more they talked to us, that they were surprised that a lot of Free Staters weren't what they were expecting. No one put them on the spot and kind of said, well, what were you expecting? Yeah. But they will say, and Shira and Dan both said, we were surprised that these are well-read people. These are people with well thought out arguments. Like they're really curious. They really want to talk things through. So
you never guess by looking at us. I mean, you never guess by looking at us.
No.
Yeah. But it's exactly like Jeremy said in the quote there. It's like, come and meet us. It's a tough thing. Again, I tell people in the Discord, when you show up to an event here and you talk your trash online about how much you know or how many books you've read, cool. I hope you can do it in person, because everybody here can. Like everybody here has their idea or their thing. And extremely well-read group and a group of people that usually, for the most part, have answers or are willing to debate and discuss these things.
And also you have such an opportunity to learn from other people. Like everyone's a nerd or is passionate about something, and and you're like, oh, I don't know, what do you think? Or I mean, I've sat through more conversations about guns over the years than I personally am interested in, but that does float a lot of people's boats.
And to that point, like, you sat through the conversation a million times. One of the debates they had at the warehouse, the crypto versus silver versus dollars debate, a friend of mine was like, are you coming? I'm like, no, I'm not interested. She's like, why not? I'm like, I've heard the debate 100 times from the 3 people involved in various settings.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to hear it again. But like, there was still a huge turnout of people who needed to hear it again because of that growth.
Or for the first time.
Yeah, or for the first time. And to Jeremy's point, I mean, it's hard to hate us when you come and meet us, unless you're a libertarian, because that's the old joke: is 2 libertarians walk into a bar, they leave agreeing on 2 things: taxation is theft, and the other guy wasn't a libertarian.
Right.
All right, let's keep it moving.
There's a growing sense of urgency to address what's happening.
My heart was racing, and I felt sick to my stomach.
People are just waking up to it.
They have been very serious about having people move into our state to change the way of life in New Hampshire.
Our state.
They want to create this libertarian utopia.
I'm a native. My family's been here for hundreds of years.
Public infrastructure and common laws.
I think it's really important to recognize that the Free State Project exists because theirs is a minority view.
Some of the measures that they advance could really hurt people. I think it's frightening.
You gotta pause it, dude.
I can't take it anymore. I'm watching his face.
Well, I already forgot the first thing I was gonna say.
Well, where you said some of the measures we advance can really hurt people. For those of you who don't know, that gentleman is the author of A Libertarian and a Bear Walk into a Bar.
A Libertarian Walks into a Bear is the title of the book. So the second thing is theirs is a minority view. Can we rewatch that clip really quick?
I made a note about the same quote, Bill. My thoughts on this took about a half a page in a college ruled notebook today.
There's a growing sense of urgency to address what's happening.
My heart was racing.
I remember. She says utopia.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who says that we're building a utopia here, do not take that person seriously, in my opinion. Libertarians don't believe in a utopia. We don't believe that the status quo is a utopia. We don't believe that what we're pitching is a utopia. There's going to be problems in life.
I can tell you the first time I saw it used really in the mainstream was The Economist used that years and years ago, and they're like, oh, the anarchists building this libertarian utopia up in New Hampshire. So yeah, I agree. I like Shangri-La.
Yeah, so I want to clarify that libertarians do not believe it's a utopia. We believe that it's better than having this massive corporate state. So that's just not that's not.
No, I mean, I would love
libertarians and ask what's going to be a utopia.
It's funny you say that,
none of
Bill.
them say yes.
Because I autistically rewatched the episode earlier today and took notes, but there's something that I noted, which is I think Carla, your clip is later in this mentioning we are an intentional community, and it's much more of that's it. There is no beyond that anything. There is no safety net that's catching you. There's no utopia. We don't have a job and a wife and $1 million for everybody and a house, and there's no rainbows and unicorns and toothbrushes for everybody here. You're free to go get those things if you can find them, but
it's the culture of New Hampshire. It's already there's a reason why the Free State Project chose New Hampshire. There's a reason why it's easy to convince libertarians to move to a place like New Hampshire, where the culture and the legal structure already kind of support our values and our beliefs. One of my favorite TikToks I've ever seen, it was a social justice warrior, lefty, short pink hair and frizzled 19 face piercings, complaining about how much she hated New Hampshire. And she said, I hate living here. It's just a libertarian dystopia with fall foliage.
No, well,
that's funny.
One person's dystopia is another person's utopia, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think utopia means that no harm comes to anybody, right?
It's
Utopia
perfect.
means that everything is perfect. And libertarians don't believe that a libertarian society is perfect. They believe that a libertarian society is better than what we have now, which is a giant state. And we want less of that.
Yeah, and keep
So it's going to be better.
It is Galt Skulch, a libertarian utopia. It's a word for something that can't exist.
I would say for a week there's a libertarian utopia. It's the end of June. It's in Porkfest, and it exists about for a week. You know, maybe two. If you go to Forkfest, you can milk that out a little longer.
All right, we should keep it going. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt that. I just had to say that.
To my stomach.
People are just waking up to it.
They have been very serious about having people move into our state to change the way of life in New Hampshire. They want to create this libertarian utopia, void of public infrastructure and common laws.
I think it's really important to recognize that the Free State Project exists because theirs is a minority view.
Some of the measures that they advance.
So he's going to get into Gunstock here.
Yeah, well, I mean,
knew.
just to the comments that were on the thing, right? Like, so there's this natural exploitable message that we should lean into, where it's like, oh, people like, refugees, unless it's libertarian refugees. People like immigrants, but not when they're libertarian immigrants. People like minorities, unless they're libertarian minorities. And this is exactly at the heart of our issue. That is what individual rights is that every human, whether you're this group or that group, down to the one individual, needs to be protected. You know, Ayn Rand said, the smallest minority is the individual, right?
Yep.
So if you believe in minority rights, for whatever minority you're excited about, you actually are a libertarian.
Or you should be if you follow that.
Could really hurt people. I think it's frightening.
We've read our history, we know our history, and we see where things are heading.
Yeah, why shouldn't we be concentrating our like-minded souls in one geographic area so then we actually might have a chance of moving these ideas forward?
We don't want to wait for a collapse. We want to build an alternative, show people it can be successful.
We like New Hampshire the way it is. They clearly have a different vision.
They've gone down a path that's too dark, and there's no coming back from it.
There is totally coming back from this edge of darkness.
So, we like New Hampshire like it is. It's like, so do we.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep it like it is.
That's the thing. I'm a native. My sister's a free stater. Her husband's a free stater. You guys haven't even met them because like they lurk in the shadows. Like my brother, he comes
In the
to
darkness.
events. My wife, like my mom's libertarian. My grandfather is extremely libertarian. He doesn't understand why taxes are like this area doesn't go past there.
He's in the dark place.
We're all natives. Like this isn't my friends like that I grew up with in elementary school that own businesses on Elm Street in Manchester. Like this isn't a far-fetched thing from the common population in New Hampshire. Like it's just not. If there is a concentration of people who already have that baseline like way of thinking or lean into a way of thinking that way, it's again the live free or die state where people still are like, we're proud that that's our motto.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Their end goal is really dangerous.
I just want to be with other people.
Bill, you're a native too.
Want freedom.
We just want you to move to New Hampshire and help us make New Hampshire smaller government. That's all we want.
There are a boatload of us here, and there are more and more coming, and in a way, we're taking over.
There's no place like New Hampshire to raise a family and to plan ahead for the next 100 years.
Not taking over to rule you, taking over to liberate you.
And if you believe in America, you've got to take action when these groups come to town.
Trump didn't save us, Biden didn't save us.
She's got the Kamala Harris laugh. You notice that?
Yeah, dude.
The nervous. It's like I think it's a fear. I don't know what it is. It's awkward.
Yeah, there's something about a white lady with hair like that who laughs that way that I could show you endless memes of. So
On a
I don't know why. I don't know why. That I can't explain as a father and guy that worked with kids his whole life. I don't know why you're by yourself at a playground.
In the rain.
Hey. Maybe it's just
Have
because
this
I'm a
legislation
man.
in front of us. It is a bill to destroy the United States.
We have the right to ask for a divorce.
We can't be supporting things like secession. This is insane.
It's really scary and it's really real. These people are crazy.
I don't know, maybe we're the sane ones and everyone else is crazy.
I love that editing there, by the way. That's probably one of my favorite edits in the whole thing, because for people who don't know, that is the footage when the federal government raided Ian Freeman's studio in a free speech crypto case. And I think it does say something that you should think about if the question is, if the government is raiding your house, your castle, and they come in and the first thing they do is destroy cameras that would give you evidence of what is actually happening.
Yeah. It's to your point too, Carla, is like it extremely well edited, the whole thing, and extremely well produced. I mean, and the same thing for me, who had like hesitancy going into even being interviewed with them, and then afterwards being like, "Oh man, this is gonna be on the news."
Well, we haven't
like,
even
what am
gone
I
into
gonna
the
do?
episode yet.
Yeah, oh,
I know. We just got through the intro.
Hey man, I have
20
so many
minutes
thoughts.
in. We just got through the intro.
Oh, that was the intro?
Oh yeah, that's just the intro.
Oh, good Lord. I'm going to
That's-
shut up and sit back. You guys.
The
are-
audience is going to be mad at us. Like,
Yeah,
guys,
play
can
it,
we
play it,
watch
play
the
it.
show?
Go, go.
I'll let you go. You have a good night.
She doesn't like me.
Sure.
Hello. Hi, my name's Julia, and I'm calling with the Free State Project. How are you?
Yeah, hi. I'm calling from the Free State Project.
I've never done a calling party.
Have you come for a visit?
Yeah.
Well, a really good thing is
Also, do you want
Pork
me to
Fest,
have
which is in June.
someone with more
Have you-
knowledge?
have you read about that?
Like there's a lady named Chris Lopez that I can have.
Is now a good time to discuss moving out here to New Hampshire and helping us build liberty in our lifetime?
My name is Jason Sorens.
If you guys haven't done a calling party, I mean that right there, fsp.org/call me. If you're out of state and you want to get a call, if you want to run questions by somebody one-on-one, we do them every month, last Thursday of the month. And Chris and Rebecca organize them. They're a great time. You can great conversations, and definitely hit that up and sign up to get a call. If you're in state and you want to help volunteer and come make those calls, get in touch with Chris.
Can I say too? They put some effort into that. Like if you're worried they're from Southern California, you're worried about like, oh, I don't know, will I be able to handle like the weather or something like that up there? They'll have you talk to somebody who's from your region. There's enough people out here, so they'll line you up with somebody who has a similar background. Like, I don't know, it was tough the first year, but I got through it this way or that way or whatever. They'll help you out.
I came up with this tagline, Liberty in Our Lifetime. The idea was that maybe we'll actually see a libertarian society and we can actually see how it works.
He got the most dramatic intro of anyone in the whole show.
The music
maybe
is great.
Ian Underwood.
The journalists are still here, but it's okay. I can make you lunch. Let me guess, peanut butter sandwich. Yes, okay. We're in my kitchen in Amherst, New Hampshire. All right, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I grew up as a religious conservative and became a libertarian really in high school, although they didn't have a term for it then. This idea that, well, government is geared toward its own benefit and not necessarily toward the public benefit. So what we really need to do is just take power away from government and give it back to society to have a better society.
Nice.
In the 90s, that was a period
Pork
of
stickers on every
great
libertarian
optimism about human freedom
As
and
they
about
should be.
the state of the
With that
world
hair.
in general. There was this sense that the internet cryptography, globalization, all these things were liberating human beings. That already by 2000 and 2001 was being shaken. I was a graduate student. This is shortly after the 2000 election.
I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Very faithfully.
Yep, that guy. Yeah, he followed the Constitution to the T.
From
There's a
hanging
sense
Chad
that
to Chad.
The tide is turning toward
My
bigger
notes
government.
just said
And so
George
I was
Bush.
pessimistic about the future of the ideals of freedom at the federal government level in the US, and I was looking for an alternative. My dissertation was on secessionist movements, so movements for autonomy and independence around the world. And it got me thinking about how we can have an influence at the state level if we all got together and found a state that was already somewhat friendly to our ideals, where we could really make a difference. And
those are
then
the
once we've
10
chosen a
states,
state, we'll try to get to 20,000 signatures. And people have 5 years to move once we hit 20,000 signatures. Ultimately, we all got together and chose a state, and that state ended up being New Hampshire.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Right?
Glad you guys picked
9/11
us.
happened
Yeah.
10 days
So-
after we launched the Statement of Intent for the Free State Project. So there was a kind of mood in the country, basically, let's give the federal government all the power they could possibly want, just in case they can do something with it.
To me, that's a really like interesting point and something to bring up, though, is like, how many people do you know that are libertarian and share libertarian beliefs and like are distrustful of the federal government and everything that we've seen in our lifetimes because of what has happened in the wake of 9/11, everything that's happened, like the growth of government just since then. But like Jason wrote this manifesto back in the days where there still wasn't a TSA.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this idea isn't like a responsive and reactive idea. It was a proactive one.
No, it's even interesting to see like who when you talk to people just like normies that are walking around on the street about the Patriot Act, if you get into a conversation, a lot of those people in just casual conversation are against a lot of the oversight or some of the permissions that gives to, you know, the alphabet agencies and what their permissions are and how they can access you, your information, your life. But at the time, it was such a cultural zeitgeist to do this. We have to fight back. And it was an easy, it was a layup in terms of passing legislation that would.
Oh my God. Some of us were shouting in the wind like crazy people. You know, I mean, it's just, you just see these patterns repeat and repeat. Now we're just in, I think it's going from 20 years to 10 years, but there's, I don't know if it would still be so distinct, but I did look at Google Trends once, you know, where you can compare the different terms.
Yeah, sure.
And if you go look at the first mention of the Free State Project, it was literally off the charts. And then 9/11 happens, and then we never go up over the line again. And it's so remarkable to see what an actual impact something like that had, even on such a small, nascent liberty movement, you know, and then replicate that across the world for all these people, because, you know, it's fine for a handful of critics to say that, you know, these ideas are strange, but I do believe that one of the commonalities that actually unites us worldwide is sort of a shared humanity, in the sense of everyone gets to be themselves.
The people that were criticizing the secessionists among us in the Free State Project, I wonder if they're against that for California and the reasons that they have behind why they put forward the same legislation.
I wonder if they still think that, you know, old Charlie across the pond there is their big honcho, because America was born out of secession. There's no way you can call yourself an American and say you're against the idea of it. It is literally our founding.
The Pine Tree Riot.
Yeah, that was a
I
fun.
live near.
And so it was not a very good time for libertarians. But then it started to change.
Iraq declared 8,500 liters of anthrax.
That was during the run-up to the Iraq War, and a lot of libertarians opposed that. There was a lot of opposition to the Bush administration and a fear that they were abusing their power and tending toward tyranny in a lot of ways.
In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed.
That provided a good opportunity for us to recruit. There really is a kind of liberty community in New Hampshire. The governor at the time, Craig Benson, actually tried to recruit us to choose New Hampshire. So he was the only governor to do that.
I'm a believer
I
that
didn't
people
know
want to
this.
move to New Hampshire and they're law-abiding citizens we should welcome, which I did.
People started moving as soon as New Hampshire was announced as a state in late 2003.
When I heard the idea of the Free State Project, it seemed like a no-brainer.
Every day, de Blasio was giving me more reasons to leave. So I knew I had to leave.
We have this beautiful thing called libertarianism, and what we want to do is create a libertarian society.
And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm gonna go there. And I sold all my stuff that didn't fit in my car, drove out here, and best decision I ever made. Should have moved here sooner.
I'm a very early mover number 50.
New Hampshire's got beautiful white mountains and we've got beautiful lakes. We have all 4 seasons. We have no sales tax and no income tax, state income tax. So it's kind of the best place to be.
It was theoretical, it was abstract. I didn't know what it would look like in practice, but the numbers seemed to work, the idea seemed to be plausible, and so I was excited about making the Free State Project happen.
Nice.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
I've been waiting.
We need some Star Wars like
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, oh yeah, you can do it.
I'm ready.
There's that laugh again. I love it.
My name is Sandra Rice Hawkins. I'm the executive director of Granite State Progress. We are fighting for a healthy, just, and inclusive Granite State for everyone. This is my daughter, Annabelle.
But not minorities like libertarians.
Right.
We're playing tag in a park in Concord. You got me.
It's so crowded.
The community has a park. Yeah. We track
Parks
conservative and extremist movements in the state. So we started to follow the Free State Project. We run Free State Project Watch, which is a resource for people to learn a little bit about the background of the Free State Project.
So, little known fact, I don't think I have it anymore, but for many years, I actually did have the URL Watch the Free State Watch. And I was like, how many watches can we work into this situation here?
Who pays for all this?
I used to joke because Carla always used to come around saying we need to start keeping records and like keep track of our history, blah blah. I'm like, Xandra's doing it for us.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? Because we do believe in decentralization. So, honestly, Soros is paying our first round archivists. We should be pulling the content and then zooshing it up a bit. But yeah.
Now, if you've never checked out Free State Project Watch, I think it's hilarious. Their candidate profiles, they'll put like everyone they've been able to identify as a Free Stater who's running for office. They'll do a little profile and write up on why they think you shouldn't vote for them. And I just remember one of them was like when it was Andrew Vermiglio was running for a state rep, Shire dude, and his profile on Free State Project Watch is, he's most well known for wasting state resources by fighting $5 parking tickets in court.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh man.
That's your
couldn't advertise better.
You have a right to fight the parking ticket.
Well, that, and also, I mean, I actually think that we would agree with someone on beware, know your candidates, right? So we actually do believe in localism and in the fact that you should know your candidates. And if she wants to do the work to be like, hey, let's take this fight to the streets in the sense that we are willing to defend our ideas. Are you willing to defend yours? Because I know when I talk to my neighbors, our ideas resonate with them. They're like, yeah, it's common sense.
Organization got started around the same time they did, and we just ended up in a lot of the same rooms and the same policy discussions. I can't understand how they can walk away with a completely different take on how to walk in this world.
I was just on their website.
Jason Torres is the gentleman responsible for this crazy idea that he had published in 2001, the idea about the Free State Project.
The Free State Project is a political group that voted on a state to move 20,000 libertarians to take over state government, dismantle it, and New Hampshire is unfortunately the unlucky recipient of that vote.
This is a great day in the history of human freedom.
A few years ago, they hit that 20,000.
We did it. Today, I'm here to announce that the Free State Project has officially triggered the move and that participants need to come home. You have 5 years from today, February 3rd, 2016, to come help build the world's first intentional liberty community.
The Free State Project has never been very transparent.
You know, Carla, a question I had. Do you think that when you said that in 2016 that COVID lockdowns would be the driving force that really pushed people who already wanted to move to really get on the horse and get the hell over here?
No, I mean, but everyone knows I've been saying COVID is honestly the gift that has been giving in terms of just, both solidifying the proof of concept. We know these ideas are working. We know concentrating together actually will make a difference because, no, I couldn't have predicted that. I also sort of slightly regret leaning so hard on the date. I think I just wanted to be like, this was the whole plan. And so we were going to lay it out that way. And then, of course, I mean, for me personally, it's kind of painful to watch in some ways. But on the other hand, I'm like, hey, like I got my shit together. I got healthy. I made lifestyle choices and changes that anyone can do. Like if you want to change, you can change. And, so I always, that one's a little bit of a mixed emotion, but it's super exciting. And all that's going to happen, I think, over time is New Hampshire is just going to become this beacon, truly, where more and more people who are seeking, certain freedoms are just going to be drawn to. And folks, if you're watching this, don't wait too long. Real property prices are probably just, there's supply and demand. We all understand economics. So come now, come soon. The sooner you come, much like Nass said, you're not going to regret it. You're going to be glad.
And then get on your zoning board and
Yes.
start making moves in terms of housing. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Parent about who they are, who's moving here, who's running for office, and they're using the party system to try to get elected, even if they're not aligned with the values of that party. It's the whole reason
that's
we started.
Just a made-up statement, by the way. Like that has irked me every time I've heard it. She's just she doesn't know who thinks they're aligned or not aligned. I mean, I actually went and read the platform of the Republican Party before even signing up to be a Republican. Like
Well, I think
that's how they operate. You know what I mean?
There's definitely a lot of different perspectives because I know free staters who actually identify as Democrats and they lean more socially liberal and they're registered Democrats and they participate in the Democratic Party. I know free staters who are in Republican Party leadership and have gotten there. And it's when they agree on things, that's when we start making waves at the State House. But I also know a bunch of free staters who don't respect the idea of partisan labels either way. And it will make sure they look up what the PVI of their district is before registering to vote, just so they can get in and have an impact.
Yeah, and I want to see some charts where actually free staters sometimes vote with Democrats and sometimes vote with Republicans. Like we could be. I mean, I've said it a million times. We could be an ally, but they just have free state derangement syndrome.
It's true. We say that all the time, free state derangement syndrome, because that's what it is. If we're open borders, they want to lock it down. There's nothing that we could do that they wouldn't just to oppose it for the sake of opposing it, do it at this point. I think that's unfortunately where people like Sandra are. And
Let's play those cards right then.
They would say they would disagree, but privately, I think that those are people who would just do it to spite us.
We should ask them if they are willing to build a wall to keep out free staters.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to me, it's like I'm in the camp of I don't respect partisan labels and partisan organizations either way. I'm of the opinion that if you believe in the values of liberty, I don't care about the values of the Republican Party or the values of the Democratic Party. If you agree with the values of liberty, run with whatever gets you elected and have that impact and sell yourself to your voters based on your voting record and your track record of supporting their rights and their freedoms. And it shouldn't matter in the end. And I always talk about this. There was an article posted by Reason a few years ago called "The Unlikely Libertarian Alliance on the Supreme Court," where there was a string of 7-2 decisions on the Supreme Court, where the two in dissent were Gorsuch, a Trump appointee, and Sotomayor, an Obama appointee. And Sotomayor is held by the right to be the most leftist communist shill you could imagine, and the left screeches about how Gorsuch is a MAGA crazed Republican who's set out to destroy democracy. But when those two agree that the rest of the court is overstepping and going against the values of individual liberty, they write some beautiful dissents in defense of personal liberty.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, individual rights again means, it should be the most popular idea, because if we're into this whole thing about pandering to interest groups, there is no larger interest group than equal human rights on one liberty level. It applies equally to everyone.
Yeah, the Ayn Rand, the most important minority is the minority of the individual, and to extend that, the most important voting block is the voting block of individuals.
Project Watch, we research and produce a list of all the candidates we're aware of. If you can't be honest about your intentions, your values, who you are, voters deserve that information. They don't believe in strong public schools. They have tried to undermine public safety laws. They've slashed budgets to really bad outcomes for those local communities.
Like what?
And they've
Name
even
one
threatened things
actual
like
bad outcome.
having New Hampshire secede from the rest of the country.
The House will be in order.
That was not
ideas.
even a vote to secede. That was a vote to ask the people to
wanted
poll. Yeah. And then that would be a whole other thing that would have to happen if they even voted yes, which they may have even voted no. But they were like, no, you can't ask the people if they want to secede. That's
There's
secession.
nothing more democratic than that bill. That bill was literally like it should have made every Democrat ever like so happy, right? Like it's just you put the question to the voters. They love that shit. Except when they don't like the answer.
Well, that's what I wonder, if they would oppose the secession movements in California that they're putting up and bills and doing the same exact thing. And I'm sure for different reasons. I'm sure for whatever reason California has. I don't pay attention to California, but I wonder if they would oppose that as well.
That'd be that's a great question to ask.
If Portland, Oregon wants to secede, would they be against it because they want to protect the Union and they would march in with troops? Like, is that what you would
last
do?
week when we had Matt on the show? I told Matt I had debated Louis Marinelli on the idea of unilateral versus multilateral secession a few years ago, and he's the head of Cal Exit. He's the one pushing the California exit movement. Him and most of his circle, they're like ardent, like democratic socialists.
Mm-hmm.
They want California to secede.
Yes.
Because they don't think they'll be able to institute socialism with the whole country, but they would be able to with just California.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite reasons why most free staters who do support secession support it.
Yep. But I wonder if people like Zandra and people that aren't fans of ours or haven't come out and met us and talked to us about these things, like actually talk to us about these things, how they would feel about that converse movement that wants to achieve the same goal, but maybe for a different reason. You know what I mean? If there's a group of people in Montana that want to become North Korea and they want to secede to become a totalitarian fascist government, like, I wonder, I'm sure they would be against that, right? But are some okay and some secession's not okay? Like,
yeah, and actually an interesting thought here, because a lot of times, people like to look to Scandinavia and the Nordic countries to sort of say, they're a prime example of, things people forget that they actually have very strong free markets. They have school choice. There's a lot of like good things there. But, I think it was Finland and actually, I don't know which Scandinavian country, so I'm not even going to make it up. But 2 of them seceded from each other peacefully. They went their separate ways. They did different languages. And it's like, okay, so we know there are examples in history of it happening peacefully. So we should
Canada and
really
England.
all start with that premise, right? Like, why wouldn't we start with the premise of, hey, this is irreconcilable differences. We need to get a divorce. How are we going to do this in a way that doesn't hurt the kids?
Yeah. Interesting. I mean,
I don't think there's a single modern country other than, I think, China. China might be the only modern country that has never seceded from another country.
China ain't a modern country.
Like in some shape or fashion. England used to be
ancient
a colony.
Scandinavia
all used to be one country. Russia used to be a whole bunch of different princedoms. Like Germany coalesced out of like 50 different independent countries all in the same place.
Yeah, decentralization is a trend. In the 18th, 19th century, I think there were 70 countries, and now there are almost 200 or whatever the numbers are. But it's definitely, the trend is to go to smaller and smaller geographic areas. And why wouldn't we? Like, it's such an obvious solution to a lot of the anger and frustration and stuff. Like, let people who want to hang together hang.
Play the video, Justin. My autistic brain is still focusing on your history thing. I'm writing a list of countries that may or may not have existed.
Look.
Or Japan. Japan too.
Japan
was kind of almost a U.S. colony for a while.
I got a list.
Are not popular, which is why they had to move to one area to try to take over to force the changes that they want onto the rest of us. They have this extreme ideology and they want to see these policies enacted, and they're doing it in some cases.
She's just as comfortable.
It really snowballed.
I
could never have predicted all the different things that people would do once they got here.
Everybody say porcupine.
But it's been amazing to see.
Again, the music is it builds the tension so effectively. Like, I watched the whole thing not knowing whether or not, like, is this a hit piece? Is this, I don't know what to make of this. It carried that through. The whole thing. It helped build the drama. So it was well done.
Well, I thought it was unique, the music choices. They kind of went from really the intro, especially like that first 3 minutes, very light and uplifting when talking to Free Staters, and very dark and foreboding when talking to those who like us.
That's very true.
Well, but that's the tone that each of us are portraying it, right?
Yeah,
we consider it to be light and uplifting, and they really consider it to be dark and scary.
Actually, that was my favorite question at that panel discussion. Someone who was sitting in front of me asked and said, did you find that there was this difference when you were interviewing people? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but kind of like, did the Free Staters have like a happier vibe than like all the angry ladies, and they were like, yeah, actually, and maybe I'm putting words in their mouth now, but I think it's this sort of sense of hope, right? Like, that is something that the Free State Project actually represents, right? Like, a lot of the problems feel overwhelming, and then you're like, well, what difference can I make? But what we learned is the more we bandy together and the more we concentrate together, the more of a difference we can make. And so, it's cool. I'm really excited for the rest of the series. I think they did as well. And the cool part is both the critics and Free Staters seem to feel that the production value and the editing and everything was fair. So I think old school reporting, 2 thumbs up.
Oh yeah, to the haters that don't think it was fair, I'm so sorry for you. I don't know what to tell. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Like, that's what I'm going to keep saying. Like,
dude, I think that was one of my favorite moments of the entire arc of the whole series coming out, was like after the first 7 episodes came out, and like with Shira shared the trailer on Twitter, and it was everyone, Free Staters, progressives, everyone in New Hampshire sharing it. It was everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And then it aired, and I remember I walked into
Got real quiet.
yeah, I walked into the a sushi place in downtown Manchester, and I just look up and see Jason Thorne's on TV. I'm like, oh, they're going wide.
I remember you texting me that, and I remember being like, oh no, like, oh
Yeah.
God. What
And
did
then I
say
get
when
home and I
talked
look
to
on
them?
Twitter, and the progressives are losing their minds. I am done with Shira's love letter to the Free State Project.
Oh, really?
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Huh. I mean, you know, like Jeremy said, once you meet us, it's hard to hate us.
Yeah, I think you can go into any group of people. You can pick the 4 people you hate in that group. Like I played football, right? 53 people, 54 people on a football team. There's going to be a few people you don't like. Like this is inevitable in any group of people. You know, you can go and focus on those people, and that's where you put your energy into hating those people, or you can interact with everybody else and be positive. And that's where you even said, like, the reflections of meeting us and talking to people is like, yeah, some of us are laughing and having fun at Murphy's Tap Room, episode 3, but featuring me. But like, you can have that group of people, or you can be by yourself in a park in the rain, you know, looking kind of sad and angry. That's what you want to. It's what you want to make of it, or how you want to frame it. You know what I mean? But sorry to those haters. I think it's hilarious. Like as soon as the tune shifted, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I'm a troll, so I don't.
We did have one kind of relevant question that came up in the chat that I didn't bring up earlier, and we got ADHD degree. I'm not going to.
Hey, shout out Discord, ADHD degree.
Super excited to come to PorkFest. One of the many hot ticket questions your fiance has is, how can we be sure that New Hampshire won't eventually fall to the Democrat migration?
By moving here and putting in the work.
That's
having
true.
some kids, bringing your friends and family who are liberty friendly, advertising, you know, like all of it. Just come help.
By being the migration you want to see.
Yeah, and I think it's cultural. Like, I think as there are more people here and people who are just actually willing to sort of toe the line, stand the ground, then everyone else feels empowered. So,
what you could do, you could manufacture in a lab somewhere a virus.
I already like,
and you could release on the world, and then you could have lockdowns implemented everywhere except for New Hampshire.
It'll drive
And then-
reverse.
That might work.
Oh yeah. I agree with all of those ideas.
I mean, it is a bit of a real risk in the sense that, but honestly, you know, so the state goes federal Democrat usually, and state conservative, Republican, libertarian.
Well, more Liberty Republican. I think.
Right?
Yeah, Liberty Republican is where I think
And
the GOP
so,
house.
you know, people will often say to me, "Oh my God, but it's so blue," and it's like, but we don't care about.
So
that.
yeah, another part of it is like Carla, you just said, we don't care. The agorism here and like the communities that we've built. So like, oh, it's starting to go a little blue. Oh, I'm going to go to the Quill and I'm going to the marketplace meetup, and then I'm picking up my stuff from Bardo, and I'm having a grill in my backyard with 30 of my libertarian friends. And then we have a stand-up show that we have to catch tomorrow night at the Shell. So I got to get ready for that and make sure my son is over with a group of homesteading mothers that are going to watch him for the night. Like, yep, that I could do that this weekend. That's easy. Done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have that. And that's where nowhere else has, is the community aspect, which is the community centers, the people. So by the concentration of people, you have friends and groups and things to do. So where it's, if the culture starts to shift a little bit in one way, you're protected from that. It's social security for your culture. You have these group of people that are already here doing the thing you want to do.
We might need a better word.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Security blanket.
Yeah, security blanket. But yeah, something along those lines. That's more of how I look at, like, you know, the whole thing is that we're just building things that nowhere else is close to coming to. It's just not possible. And easy access. It's only a couple hours, no matter where you get.
And here's the thing, there's no guarantees about anything. Maybe we're all wrong, right? But I will tell you this, if you want to live a purpose-driven life, if you think having purpose in your life and sort of having this mission and hey, liberty in our lifetimes, then it really is a gift that you give to yourself if you come here, because you've built in a life's mission, which is actually kind of awesome, because you're like, oh, okay, there's a big thing I can check off. I'm going to try and get liberty in my lifetime. Like, I know part of what I'm doing with my life. And that is actually incredibly freeing.
Well, it's Dennis said in the thing, he felt trapped for 40 years. And I'm like, I'm a native of New Hampshire. Like, when I prattled off in middle school to my friends of like, I don't understand why the government does these things, they'd be like, yeah, I don't get it, man. This doesn't make sense. I've never felt that way. And they picked New Hampshire for a reason, there you go.
Well, that was episode 1. If you guys want to watch episode 1 uninterrupted, the link is in the description of the YouTube video you're watching now. You can go check it out on NBC's website or look it up on Peacock. Again, it's Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of New Hampshire, which I'm just pissed I didn't come up with the title.
Well, in 3 years, you could do a book with that title, Justin.
I don't know, Carla. I did a book with that title because you pitched it and never followed through. They followed through already.
Oh, you win that round, my friend.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. If you want to, again, learn more about what we're doing, watch this documentary or head on over to fsp.org. Learn, get in touch. If you're not in New Hampshire, you want to plan your visit before you plan your move, you can do so by getting in touch with Chris and Rebecca, who can help get you organized, squared away, and get your visit planned. And there's no better time in the world ever to plan your visit than PorkFest. How many tickets have we sold, Carla?
I don't know exactly, but around 2,000. I mean, there's still some tickets available. People should get their tickets. Go to porkfest.com and get them soon. I think the price is probably going up again.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun
Sites
time.
are gone.
Some big
Yeah, the
names.
sites, but you can still come up and hang and make plans and do all the good stuff.
Or find a site that'll let you just pop a tent.
Reach out to people. There's exactly like Justin
There's a
said.
whole Facebook group called PorkFest Plans.
Yeah.
Yes, please
There's
go
hotels,
there.
Airbnbs.
Yeah. And if you're here, if you are visiting, check out the calendar, because you can burn out like Kevin does, trying to do every single event on the calendar every day. You'll put a few 1,000 miles on your car a week if you try and drive around the whole state constantly to meet every event and meet everyone. But it's a great way to network with your neighbors and your community and get to know everybody. And let Kevin give his pitch.
Join the Discord if you want to chat about the episode or any exciting stuff. And same, I don't do calling parties. Join the Discord 7 days a week. I'm in there. So I'll jump in voice chat and talk to you about your move. So come on over. And we should probably plan it an hour, because this is only the intro. I have so much more to say about every other episode. But yeah, no, that was awesome. It's really good. I'm glad we're kind of going back through this whole series. So
yeah. Well, again, thanks so much for everybody for tuning in. Carla, Bill, you guys got anything?
I got nothing.
Well,
thanks for watching.
Until next time, everybody, be free and
Peace
vote
out.
for the bear.